Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today I'm going to be giving an update on both of the books I'm working on, but primarily the DAX for Humans book that I'm working on that attempts to basically teach people DAX through the no calculate method. That's the central premise and core of the book. So, out on my Patreon page, right, this is where the book project is going on. As you can see, my latest post on this is I've completed chapter 12 draft, right? So if we go through this, and let me show you, let's bring this up. So originally we were going to have 16 chapters, or 17 chapters. I've shortened that down. I'm getting rid of the sales and marketing chapter, and there's a few reasons for that. And primarily the reason is god awful boring. I mean, and I feel like it's been covered to death, especially on the sales side. Like everybody uses AdventureWorks, right? And everybody uses the fact tables, which are all the sales data, right? So I mean that subject has been just literally covered to death. And I feel like I cover a lot of some of the basics of it in some of the core chapters at the beginning, like the dates and calendars and doing previous month and month over month and all those things, that typically go into your sales and marketing numbers and that. There's a few interesting calculations maybe in marketing, like ROAS, revenue or return on ad spend. But it's so different for different industries in terms of how you calculate that. So I just decided to just drop the chapter, which means that if I've completed chapter 12, then the target date was originally March 29th, right? I'm working on this chapter right here, chapter 13. Maybe I should zoom in on here, which is due on April 12th. So we're a good month ahead of where the schedule, which is where I like to be when I'm writing books. Um, I'm pretty sure I've finished every schedule that PAC's ever given me. I've completed that schedule, um, earlier than what the scheduled dates were, for every single book I've ever written with PAC. I don't know. I guess it's, if we're to believe the tropes, that's not normal for authors. Authors are always late. Um, but I like to get things done on time. I don't like to miss dates, or if I miss a date, I work really hard to kind of catch back up and get ahead. So that's where we are. So this is chapter 11, right, on operations. This was a really fun one, right? We have on time and full, order cycle time, delivery dates, mean time between failure, overall equipment effectiveness, days of supply, order fulfillment, which is kind of crazy. And so this one was a really fun one to put together, right? Because I like the operational type stuff. They're complex problems, they're interesting. And then we have such chapter 11. Then chapter 12 was also pretty fun. It was on distance and space, which it's criminal that DAX does not include the ATAN2 function. I mean, it's been in most programming languages since Fortran, like in the 1960s, but and there's literally an Excel function, ATAN2, right, that Excel has. And they ported so many Excel functions over from Excel to DAX in recent years. It's criminal that they've not ported ATAN2. But so it begins with ATAN2, and then it goes on to use ATAN2 in like 4 or 5 different calculations. So this was a fun one to put together. Bearing, distance, eastings and northings, near, right, transitive closure, fun types of topics. I even got box sizes, which was originally supposed to be in the operational chapter. I didn't have room for it. It was already past 30 some pages, so I decided to drop it from that chapter. But then I was able to work it back in here. So there you go. So that is the chapter 12. And then chapter 13 is what I'm working on. I literally just started. It is advanced scenarios. So this is where we're going to get into like and slicers or inverse selectors, more of like not just calculations, right? In terms of you can use DAX, and that's what the majority of the book is, right? Up until now has been using DAX to calculate some metric, some KPI, right? What this chapter, what I'm showing is that you can do a lot more with DAX to actually control the user experience, and how and change up the default behavior of how Power BI's like slicers work. You can use DAX to modify that behavior since Microsoft doesn't give you the option within the visuals themselves. you have to use DAX to do it. But that's a really powerful technique that can be used across a wide range of things, right? This chapter is also going to go get into scalable vector graphics, right? And then a bunch of other, kind of more general purpose. And that's not necessarily about calculating a metric. It's about a technique that you can use DAX in order to accomplish a wide variety of things, like disconnected table tricks and all that sort of fun stuff. That's the that's the goal for this chapter. So that's where we're heading with it. On the other front, as far as uh, this Learn Power BI third edition, I'm still working on that. We're going through the technical reviewers are going through the chapters now, and then as they finish those up, then I'm going back through and revising and doing the drafts there. So that's also going on in progress. So yeah, I think Eladio was one on my community channel on YouTube that asked for a book update. So there you have it. Still plugging away, and if all goes well, right? If all goes well, I will be done far earlier than this May 24th date. Maybe I'll be done in April. Would be a nice, at least through the first drafts. I'm already starting to think about things like, okay, what's my cover art going to be? How am I going to get this index built? Because I don't want to publish a book without having a decent index in it. So gotta, there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen, or the other than just writing the chapters, right? And I also have to go back through, and then go back through all these chapters, get all the feedback from the people on Patreon that have been supporting me, and going through and get all their review comments and everything, and address all of those things, get the second drafts of everything created, go through and get final drafts of everything. So, hopefully we can wrap this all up before the weather gets really nice out. Because, believe it or not, I do have some semblance of life, not in winter, but in the spring and summer and fall. I like to get out, and get in the garden and do all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's where we are with the book DAX for Humans. Wanted to give everybody an update, and that's all I had for this video. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.